Shalom Akim. All praise and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah HaKodash. This is just a quick video concerning this movie that Netflix and BBC is coming out with. And I'm going to read parts of this article for you. Says, controversy looms as mythical Achilles is played by black actor in new BBC epic. Social media users have expressed their anger at the new series produced by the BBC and Netflix, in which Greek mythological figures such as Achilles, Patroclus, and Zeus are being played by black actors. In Troy, Fall of a City, an 8-part series that chronicles the Greek siege of the city Troy, Achilles is played by interstellar Cloud Atlas, and Man in an Orange Shirt star David Gyasi. The same character played in the 2004 film Troy by Brad Pitt. Here are some of the responses by social media users, which are basically Edomites. Homer in the Iliad repeatedly describes as blonde or golden hair. No, Achilles was never described as blonde or golden hair in ancient Greek. I've read, some articles and stuff on that. No, they were a dark-skinned people. Now, I'm not saying that they were Israelites, because the original Japhets, the original Greeks, were the Samoans and Hawaiians today. However, they were a dark-skinned people. A matter of fact, and I'm going to bring up a few points that's proven that they were dark-skinned people. But let me read some of the other parts of this article. Africans had nothing to do with Greek mythology or ancient European history. Who in their right mind could see and enjoy this new TV series? Basically, there were Hamites all throughout Greek lands and stuff like that, and everybody comes from the Middle East. The word European only means East people. Euro, Eastern people, Eastern people. And yes, even Israelites were all throughout Greek history. However, the real Greeks were the so-called Hawaiians and so-called Samoans today. This is blatant racism towards Greek people, and I am shocked by the audacity of the BBC to try to rewrite Greek history. No, you devils are the ones who rewrote history. Everything that you so-called white people believe are a lie. I mean, shit, y'all rewrote history so much as to believe that y'all are everybody. I mean, in your movies, you're also the Egyptians. Am I lying? Have you not watched The Gods of Egypt? That movie that came out last year, where all the Egyptians were played by Edomites, or so-called white people? Question, would anybody be mad if I made a movie about U.S. history and an actor playing Obama was white? Now, ain't none of y'all white anyway. Y'all all red. But like I said, did not you so-called white people play the Egyptians when the Egyptians are known to be so-called black people, so-called Africans? But anyway, let me get into some of the tabs that I have. This is Troy history. Basically, when did the Troy year start? It says ancient Greek historians variously placed the Trojan War in the 12th and 13th or 14th centuries BC. Eratosthenes to 1184 BC, Herodotus to 1250 BC, and Duris of Samos to 1334 BC. Modern archaeologists associate Homeric Troy with archaeology Troy 7. But basically, this is to give you a timeline when this supposedly happened, or when the mythical Troy happened, around the 12th, 13th, and 14th centuries BC. Now, I pulled up this tab because I wanted to go to, here it is, the Dark Ages. Now, why do, I just pulled this up because it says, why do they call the Dark Ages? Okay. Another reason why the Middle Ages are often called the Dark Ages is because compared to other eras, historians don't know much about this time. In some ways, the period of time has been lost to history, which is actually a lie. The Middle Ages, which is the 13th and 14th century AD, is when they were doing a lot of whitewashing, you know, painting over the images of so-called black art. I mean, that has nothing to do with the 1,000 year period, the 13th and 14th century BC, but it actually does. It seems like it doesn't, but it actually does. That's why I pulled this up. When was the Greek Dark Ages? The Greek Dark Age, also called Greek Dark Ages, Homeric Age, or the geometric period after the characteristics of geometric art of the time. The period of Greek history from the end of Mycenaean Placial civilization around 1100 BC. So my point is they called the Greek Dark Ages. And the truth of why they called it the Dark Ages is because dark people ruled. Even when Alexander had conquered the known world at that time, he had the Library of Alexandria in Egypt, and it had a lot of documents and historical writings and stuff like that. And guess who kept those documents for the most part? Those dark-skinned people, mainly the Hamites, you know. And guess what? When Rome came and destroyed this library that had so much literal art and stuff. Why? On one side, the Edomites wanted to keep that art. On the other side, once Rome got in power, those Edomites wanted to destroy it. And those Edomites, once they conquered the Greeks, they destroyed that art. Why? Because it was dark people ruling at that time, and most of the stuff that was in that library, guess who created it? Dark-skinned people. And we all know how you Edomites feel about dark-skinned people. You let it be known really well in this Troy controversy. You upset that the BBC actually wants to get something more accurate than what you usually do. Because really, all the movies and everything that's coming out today usually is just whitewashed, so to speak. Which basically you so-called white people are always playing the roles of ancient historical black people, so to speak, or dark-skinned people, I should say. Matter of fact, I pulled up, actually I got something else I wanted to show, because this is some of ancient Greek art that I wanted to show. Around that time, some of the ancient Greek art. And if you look at this art, this doesn't look like, so-called white people made it. These are Greeks. The ancient Greeks made this, and the Greeks were not turned into so-called white people until Alexander, conquered that known world. Just like there was no such thing as a South African, which are the so-called white people, so-called white people calling themselves South African. There was no such thing as that until Alexander the Macedonian conquered the lands of that time. And then that's how you Edomites got up in there. And then in Edomite fashion, what you did was take on their name, take on their customs, and basically mimic what they was doing to try to steal their history. That's what you Edomites have done. And now that the BBC and Netflix is trying to get some of it historically accurate, you're upset about it. What for? You're not the ones that did this history. And going back to the articles that I pulled up, the ancient Greeks are these people here. this would be these. It says what Hawaiian warriors art, because these are the ancient Greeks, the so-called Hawaiian people. That's why they dress the way they do. Do you wonder if you wondered where that Greek toga came from? It came from them. That's why they always have dressed damn near half naked. You know, they even do it to this day. Ancient Hawaii, because they are the original Greeks. They are the original Yawan or Japheth, as you would call in the Bible. It's not you so-called white people. It's the so-called Hawaiians. Yes, they were warriors in their ancient days. And of course, you devils came up in there and took their name. Matter of fact, look up that article, Macedonians are not Greek. Because when Alexander the Macedonian conquered all those places, he was still a Macedonian. He was not a Greek. That you just stole his name. That's all you did. But that's what you Edomites do. That's what the devil does. Let me see. Because there is a period in time when you did it, when you did it to us. And that's known as the Renaissance period. The Renaissance period when you were painting over the dark images with your Edomite colors, man. That's what you devils did. And I'm only going to pull out like a couple of scriptures on this. Like I said, it's just a quick lesson, a quick thing. This is, let me see. This is 1 Maccabees 1:1. And it happened after Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, the king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, or the head of Greece. He made himself the king of Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted in his heart, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered mighty strong hosts, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died. And his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So after Alexander the Macedonian conquered the known world at that time, and his generals took over after he died, evils were multiplied in the earth. One such evil is you devils basically doing this identity theft. Not to mention all the fag and freakism that was going around in the planet at that time, and even right now. And there's one more scripture I wanted to get. This is Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, wherein who is he? And that's pretty much the end of this lesson, and I'm going to leave it off on this note, to take this long look at the pictures of some of the Greek art, I mean, hey, those are all dark-skinned people. Like I said, they may not be Israelites, but they are dark-skinned people. And in this particular pottery is a dark-skinned man killing a so-called white man, because these are the ancient Greeks, the ancient Olympians, So that's the end of this lesson, and with that, I'll say shalom.